Let's see if third time's a charm. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All right. Got one or two. We will work on that. I hope everyone had a blessed and joyful Thanksgiving. Hope it was not too stressful. Hopefully no serious family issues. I know holidays can be really tough for a lot of people. Hopefully what I share kind of helps to address that reality for you in some way. And the reason I said Happy New Year to start the homily is because today is the first Sunday of Advent. The first Sunday of Advent means it is a new liturgical year. And it just so happens that coincides with our patron, St. Andrew the Apostle, his feast day this year, which is awesome, which is why we get to celebrate with this Eucharistic procession, bringing the Lord into the streets in gratitude for this new year, and our patron, St. Andrew the Apostle. But back to the reality that holidays can be really tough. And just know that, as I say that comes from a man who grew up in a blended family. My parents divorced when I was 5 years old, so I know holidays can be tough. Right? So, but this past week for Thanksgiving, as I mentioned last weekend, my plan was to spend some time with my brother, my sister-in-law, and my two little nieces. They are 2 years old and 1 year old. 1 year old. The 1 year old is my goddaughter, and I got to do that. And it was amazing. And I got to see what it was like to spend multiple days with those toddlers, right? So prior to this past week, I've spent hours with toddlers and their parents, but not multiple days. Right? And so I stayed at my brother and sister-in-law's house. So I was with them, right, the whole time, from Sunday evening after all the masses here till Friday evening, when I flew out on Friday to come back here. And it was very eye-opening in a very beautiful way for me to witness all that. And it really helped me come to grips with this core truth that I've known for a while now. It's really that just like parents need to stop complaining about how hard it is to raise their kids. That's a joke. Wow. Okay. No one got it. I got to see firsthand, right, in a very new way, how difficult it is, how much it demands of you, how much it asks of you. And it just really reflecting on what I saw, the beauty in it, right? The beauty in it, in the midst of the difficulty that I could see as well. What it is that it reflects the way the Lord is toward us, right? Always attentive, ready to help us in any way that He can at any moment. I went to Nashville to have this visit after all the masses here on Sunday evening. And either Tuesday or Wednesday of this past week, one of those nights, I don't remember which, at 8 p.m., I had no more energy. So I woke up laying on my brother and sister-in-law's couch with my 2-year-old little niece kind of nestled up next to me, near my chest, top of my stomach. And I wake up to her kind of pushing me. No sleeping, silly. I was done. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful for me. Like I said, I have this whole new appreciation for what it takes to raise kids. So one of the many things that I was able to do during my time up there was read a lot of little short books to my 2-year-old niece in particular. It's like she's in love with having books read to her at the moment. And one of my favorite books that she requested often was about a ballerina who is getting ready for a ballet recital. And I think why this kind of stands out in my mind so much is because it was actually true for her. Like, she has a ballet recital next weekend, and I got to go to one of her ballet practices. She can hop and twirl with the best of them. So I'm reading this story to my niece about this ballerina preparing for a ballet recital. And it just lends itself, the way the story is written just lends itself to having fun with the way that you read the words on the page. So I did that. And the way that I did that was, my niece particularly liked it when we got to the part of the book that mentioned being prepared from head to toe. So I would touch her head and touch her toes. And then when we got to the part about the mom of the daughter powdering the little girl's nose in preparation for the ballet recital, I would touch my niece's nose. I'm very creative, right? So she loved it, right? She loved it. It was so much fun for me. But honestly, like when you're reading the same story for the 7th or 8th time, you do start to wonder, like, how is this enjoyable for anyone, right? And I say that knowing full well that since I've left Friday evening, that story, that particular book, has probably been read like 5 or 6 times, right? Because of how much she loves this story. And I said, it just gives me this whole new appreciation for what is asked of parents in light of that particular experience and everything else I experienced this past week. And I think part of the reason that memory was coming to mind in preparation for today is not because this ballerina book had lots of pink and purple in it, which reminded me of Advent. The book had lots of pink and purple in it. But I think it was really because the reason I felt moved to share this memory is because it was communicating something really beautiful to me about the importance of telling stories. The importance of telling stories and the significance of the stories that mean something to us, that touch our hearts in some way. Like my niece, she's a ballerina in training. That story was speaking to her heart. Like I could just imagine me reading that story and her thinking about the recital that's this coming weekend. So she could see herself in the story. And also, that particular one I'm talking about was speaking about preparing for something in the future. So all of that is tied up in some way with things that we ought to remember during Advent. So what do I mean? Where's the connection there? I think as we begin this Advent, this new liturgical year, there's an invitation from the Lord to not be afraid to ask ourselves this question, which I know is very personal. It might not sound that way, but it's a very personal question. The question is this: how well do I know the story of salvation history? How well do I know the story of salvation history? Do I realize that those words mean something? That it's meant to communicate that we have a God who created us, and from the moment He created us, has been trying to communicate the life-changing, beautiful truth that He's in love with us, that He's after our hearts. Do I know that? Can I see that in what the Scriptures record for us? Can I see myself in the story of salvation history? Can I see how salvation history impacts me? How salvation history is playing itself out in my life right now? So as you try to answer that question, one of the things I highly encourage you to do is to not feel bad about your answer to that question. Because there is always more to learn. And it's fascinating. It is fascinating. So the encouragement is to not let your current lack of knowledge convince you that you can't possibly begin learning now. It is a new year. It is never too late in life. Right? There's never too much to learn. The Lord is patient and gentle and kind to us. And He knows our limits. But we should not place limits on Him and on ourselves that we have no business placing on Him or on ourselves. You have no idea You have no idea what the Lord is capable of doing in you. Combat that way of thinking. Resist that way of thinking. Right? Resist this thought. This is just who I am. This is just the way things are. If you want a really beautiful way to combat that way of thinking, to overcome that way of thinking, start to think about what we believe to be true. We believe that we will live forever. Forever. Right? Any box that we have the Lord in and ourselves in, the hinges to that box should be blown open by that thought. You and I will live forever. That truth is meant to help us remember that things can change. Things can change drastically. What we are preparing for this Advent, what we're preparing for every Advent, is to celebrate the mind-blowing fact that God, the King of the universe, the creator of all that is, became one of us, in one of us. Our Mother Mary, a young girl from Nazareth. That is the most drastic change, the most consequential change, the most significant change that has ever happened in human history, prior to that same God rising from the dead and telling us that the same thing can happen for us. And that the way to get to that place is to surrender to his love and to his mercy, which are always on offer for us. Every moment of every day, the Lord's love and mercy are right there waiting for us. And the goal is to become convinced that I was made for an everlasting relationship with our God. That's why I was created. And we need to learn how to desire not to resist him, how not to resist what he's asking of us, because all that he asks of us is for our good. It's for us to grow in union with him. He is our ultimate good. So some concrete ways to pursue that are to avoid the things that St. Paul mentioned in that second reading. There's other things that St. Paul mentions that we should really avoid because of how they pull us away from the Lord in very significant ways. Right? They harm us. They harm others. And if you go through that list and any of it sounds, that's not that bad. My encouragement is to ask the Lord boldly to show you how wrong you are to think that way. Ask him to show you. He doesn't do it in order to shame you for the way that you've been thinking, but to reveal the truth. To reveal the truth. That what we are being called to this Advent and every Advent is to be reminded that we are being prepared to meet Jesus face to face. Our God, creator of the universe, King of the universe. We're also being reminded at the beginning of this new liturgical year that he actually came for us. The God who does not need us, the God who did not have to become one of us and allow us to hurt him, right, physically in his crucifixion and his passion. He did not have to allow us to hurt him emotionally by rejecting him, denying him. He did not have to do any of that. He did not have to make himself vulnerable in those ways. He does not need our love. He does not need your love. He wants your love. He wants you to freely give it to him, which is just to say yes to him. Lord, here is my heart. Have your way with me. Teach me what that means. To prepare our hearts for that encounter with him that's going to take place at an unknown day, an unknown hour, we just need to ask him over and over, please prepare us. Help prepare us. And as I was reflecting on, what I'm trying to get at, how to do that, the song, Jesus Take the Wheel, came to my mind. It's a decent prayer in the form of a song. But another one that came to mind that I think that I think speaks a deeper truth more clearly is one of the ones that we sing here from time to time. Lead me, guide me along the way. Lord, if you lead me, I cannot stray. Simple truth that helps us not be confused about why we are here, what this life is all about. It is a preparation to meet God face to face with the hope that when that moment comes, we will see the Lord across from us saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Come and share your master's joy." So this Advent, ask for his grace to give you energy, right, to keep your heart open to him, open to his love, open to his mercy. Do not become so drowsy, so beat down by life, because it seems like the same story gets told over and over and over again. Don't let that truth get spoken to your heart in such a way that you forget that often all the Lord is asking of us is to love the person in front of us. Right? This is what my niece was helping me to see in a new way this past week. That with a childlike heart, there are new wonders. There are new ways to appreciate what the Lord allows to repeat in our lives. Those things that come back again and again. A new year. Right? Another Advent. Christmas. Christmas is coming. Which is meant to be a reminder that our Savior came for us. It actually happened. And all he's doing is begging us every day to keep coming to him. To come back to him when we stray. That's always his voice. We never need to doubt that. He's always calling us to himself. Over and over, again and again. So that we can experience that joy that he desires us to experience. Over and over. Again and again. Forever and ever. Without end.